This begins with a room filled with tension, a chamber where leaders of 27 powerful civilizations gather, each representing a corner of the cosmos. The Galactic Council, known for its wisdom and caution, is in session. At the head of the meeting stands Admiral Drax Volo of the Drac Imperium. His voice, heavy with concern, cuts through the murmurs as he reveals a truth that shakes the very foundations of interstellar peace. Humanity, a species once thought to be young and unthreatening, has shown a level of military might that defies all expectations. For years, the galaxy had known peace through careful balance and measured responses. Civilizations had learned to resolve disputes without unnecessary bloodshed. But humanity, with its raw ambition and unmatched determination, had turned this cosmic order on its head. They had already made a statement that could not be ignored, and as Admiral Volo detailed the grim news, every council member felt a chill. The message was clear: humanity was not content with small victories or polite negotiations. They were here to make an impact, and they were doing it in a way that no one could have predicted. It all started in a system known as Riel Prime. The Drac Imperium, confident in their might and long-standing traditions of war, had sent a fleet to confront a human colony ship that had dared to venture too close to contested space. The humans, however, were not the timid explorers the galaxy had once assumed. Instead, their message was short and chilling. We strongly recommend clearing a 5 light-minute radius. These words, spoken over comms with a cool finality, were meant as a warning. But it was a warning that no one took seriously. When the Drac fleet advanced, expecting a bluff from a fledgling species, they were met with an overwhelming display of power. In a flash of brilliance and brutality, the human vessel fired a weapon so devastating that it not only obliterated the entire Drac fleet, but also wiped out a nearby moon. The surviving witnesses would later describe that moment as the most terrifying display of power they had ever seen. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a statement of intent, a promise that humanity was willing to go to any lengths to secure its survival. The council members exchanged uneasy glances as Admiral Volo recounted the events. What was even more startling was the way humanity fought. In almost every other corner of the galaxy, species had learned to fight wars with measured, proportional responses. They believed in carefully planned retaliation, one that would send a message without completely annihilating the enemy. But humanity had no word for overkill. Their battles were fought with the idea of complete and total victory. They didn't stop until every threat was extinguished, every possibility for future conflict erased. One of the earliest encounters that hinted at humanity's true nature occurred with the Centauri Empire, a civilization with a long history of power and influence. The Centauri had encountered humans during a time of peaceful exploration. At first, they dismissed humanity as a harmless, if slightly curious, species. Their peaceful colonization efforts and modest military buildup painted a picture of a people focused more on exploration than conflict. But the Centauri's assumptions were shattered when a human research ship accidentally crossed into their sacred territory. In their eyes, this was an act of aggression, a trespass into a realm where no being was allowed to enter without consequence. Without hesitation, the Centauri opened fire. That single moment of miscalculation led to a chain of events that would forever alter the balance of power in the galaxy. The incident, which came to be known as the Proxima Incident, was marked by a catastrophic escalation. The Zenari, staunch allies of the Centauri, decided that a firm response was needed. They bombed a human colony on Mars, a world that had become home to thousands. The result was devastating. Countless lives were lost, and a message of retribution was loud and clear. Yet, what happened next left the entire council speechless. Within mere days, humanity demonstrated an ability to adapt and overcome that no other species could match. Using the technology left behind by their adversaries, human engineers reverse-engineered alien weaponry at a pace that was almost unbelievable. In just 48 hours, they mounted a series of counterstrikes so precise and powerful that they dismantled the Zenari's key outposts. The attacks were not random or haphazard. They were calculated moves designed to hit exactly where it would hurt the most. With each strike, humanity sent a clear message. They would not tolerate any challenge to their right to exist, and they would act swiftly to eliminate any threat. As the accounts of these events spread through the council chamber, a deep sense of dread took hold. The Centauri, once proud and unyielding, had seen their empire crumble before their very eyes. Humanity's response to the Centauri's aggression was not a matter of survival. It was a matter of principle. Overnight, human industries that once produced everyday goods were transformed into war machines. Within a record-breaking 3 weeks, entire fleets of advanced warships were built from scratch. And when the time came, humanity unleashed a fury that the galaxy had never seen. The Centauri homeworld, a symbol of ancient might and civilization, was completely obliterated. Billions of Centauri citizens were wiped out in a single, relentless wave of retribution. The events that followed were not just a series of military victories. They were a complete overturning of what every species had come to expect from war. Humanity's rapid military evolution became the subject of both awe and terror. The creation of the HSS Retribution, a colossal battleship built in just 3 weeks, became a turning point in this new era of warfare. Under the steady command of Captain Eleanor Banks, the HSS Retribution wasn't just a warship, it was a symbol of an unstoppable force. Captain Banks, known for her cool resolve and sharp instincts, led her crew with the same ruthless efficiency that had come to define humanity's approach to combat. With every mission, her battleship carved a path of destruction through enemy lines, leaving nothing but silence and ruin in its wake. That humanity's methods were both simple and brutal. They believed in fighting without mercy, eliminating threats completely rather than merely crippling them. Their tactics were clear: target the very heart of an enemy's ability to fight. They zeroed in on life support systems, ensuring that no survivors could tell a tale of their defiance. They dismantled command centers so swiftly that enemy leaders had no time to regroup or counterattack. And they left engines and mobility systems disabled, trapping any remaining forces before the final blow was struck. One such example of their ruthless efficiency came when Captain Banks made a decision that would echo across the stars. In a decisive battle, her orders were to destroy a moon that served as a critical base for the enemy. The attack was precise and devastating, executed with such force that it not only wiped out the enemy base, but also sent a clear signal. There would be no quarter given to those who dared oppose humanity. And when the enemy forces hesitated, uncertain whether to surrender or fight on, humanity didn't wait. They continued the onslaught until every vestige of their adversary was reduced to nothing more than cosmic dust. For many in the Council, the greatest fear was not the weaponry or the strategy, but the mindset behind it all. Humanity was unique because they had no concept of restraint and conflict. While other civilizations had developed elaborate codes of honor and rules of engagement, humanity saw war as a problem that needed a final solution. They did not believe in endless debates or prolonged negotiations once a conflict had been declared. Their approach was to end the fight completely, to remove any future possibility of danger by ensuring that no enemy could ever rise again. It was a philosophy that many found chilling, a mindset that left no room for second chances or reconciliation. As the Council listened to the account of humanity's actions, a heavy silence fell over the room. The gathered leaders were forced to confront a terrifying reality. Humanity was not just another species among the stars. They were a force of nature, a force that would not hesitate to end conflicts with finality. The galaxy, with all its diversity and ancient wisdom, was now faced with a question that had no easy answer. Could any species, no matter how powerful, truly stand up to a war fought without limits? In the aftermath of these events, the Galactic Council was left to ponder the future. The narrative of humanity's rise was not one of unbridled chaos, but of evolution, a dark secret that had been hidden until now. Their rapid innovation, combined with a willingness to embrace the most extreme measures, had placed them on a pedestal of fear and respect. The Council members, once united by the hope of maintaining order and balance, now found themselves at a crossroads. They had to decide whether to forge alliances with a species that could be both a savior and a destroyer, or to build defenses against an enemy whose strength lay not just in technology, but in an unyielding will to obliterate any threat. Throughout the corridors of power, whispers of humanity's dark secrets spread like wildfire. Stories of their incredible achievements in the face of overwhelming odds mingled with horror over the lengths they were willing to go for victory. Many recalled the day when a human vessel approached a massive Drac fleet with nothing more than a simple warning, only to leave behind a scene of complete devastation. Others spoke of the quiet efficiency with which human engineers could take a piece of enemy technology and transform it into a weapon of unimaginable power. Each story added another layer to the legend of a species that refused to be defined by the rules of war. In homes, spaceports, and even the secluded academies of distant worlds, beings from all corners of the galaxy debated the meaning of humanity's rise. Was it a sign of a necessary evolution, a turning point where only the strongest would survive? Or was it a warning, a glimpse into a future where mercy was a luxury that no one could afford? The answers were as varied as the stars themselves, and each perspective only deepened the mystery. Some believed that humanity's relentless drive for survival might eventually lead them to discover truths about the universe that no one else could. Others worried that their uncompromising nature would spark conflicts that could engulf entire star systems in flames. Amidst these debates, a new era of technological and military evolution had begun. Humanity continued to push the boundaries of what was thought possible. Their innovations in space travel, weaponry, and strategy were not born out of a desire for conquest alone, but from a deep-seated need to protect what they held dear. For them, the idea of compromise was foreign, a relic of a time when resources were abundant and threats were few. Now, in a universe where danger lurked behind every nebula and in every dark corner of space, they had learned that sometimes survival meant making hard choices. Choices that many would call ruthless, but which humanity saw as necessary to ensure their continued existence. Captain Eleanor Banks and her crew aboard the HSS Retribution became symbols of this new way of thinking. Every mission they undertook was a story of bravery mixed with calculated precision. They did not see themselves as warmongers. They saw themselves as protectors. And yet, their methods were anything but gentle. Their battles were marked by a cold efficiency that left enemies no chance to regroup or retaliate. With each victory, the legend of humanity grew, a tale of a species that dared to challenge the cosmic order and win. Now, as leaders from across the galaxy sat in that tense chamber of the Galactic Council, one fact became impossible to ignore. Humanity did not just fight wars. They ended them. Their approach was straightforward and unyielding. There was no room for endless negotiations or cautious retreats. Instead, when conflict arose, they would strike with a force that was as awe-inspiring as it was terrifying, leaving no doubt that resistance would be met with absolute annihilation. In the quiet aftermath of yet another display of human power, a deep question echoed in the minds of every council member. Could any civilization, no matter how ancient or powerful, truly hope to stand against a force that stopped at nothing? The galaxy had long been governed by rules and traditions that kept conflicts contained, but humanity had shattered that delicate balance. Their actions challenged everything that had been taken for granted, forcing even the mightiest species to reconsider their strategies and alliances. The stories of these epic battles and the rapid pace of human innovation spread far and wide. Over time, every corner of the galaxy came to know that when humanity was involved, the outcome was never a mere compromise or a limited skirmish. It was total, irreversible, and final. This revelation sparked both admiration and terror. Admirers saw in humanity a kind of brutal brilliance, a raw determination to push through every obstacle. Critics, on the other hand, feared that such unyielding force could one day spiral into conflicts that no one would be able to control. Even as the Galactic Council debated the future, one thing remained certain. Humanity had rewritten the rules of warfare. Their dark secret was out, and the galaxy would never be the same again. In a universe filled with endless stars and infinite possibilities, one species had risen to a level of power that defied understanding. And while their methods were harsh and their resolve unbreakable, they were driven by a simple desire: to survive, protect, and secure a future free from the threats that had once loomed over them. As we close this chapter of interstellar history, the question lingers like a shadow over every star system. Can any species truly stand against a foe that sees the end of conflict as the only acceptable outcome? Humanity's journey is a story of survival, of rapid evolution, and of a relentless will that refuses to be tamed by tradition or fear. Their dark secret, once hidden among the countless wonders of the cosmos, now shines as a beacon of both hope and terror, a reminder that in the vast, unpredictable theater of space, the rules of war can be rewritten in an instant. And so, as the galaxy braces itself for what may come next, one truth remains clear. Humanity is here to stay, and they are not willing to compromise when it comes to defending their way of life. Their story is one of bold choices, swift actions, and a relentless pursuit of victory that has left an indelible mark on the fabric of the universe. Whether feared or revered, their legacy will echo through the ages, challenging every species to rethink what it means to wage war and what it truly takes to survive in a cosmos where peace is a rare and fragile gift.